right, we are live. Okay, welcome to day 6 of unemployment. So yeah, didn't really have a whole lot going on today. Mainly just kind of continuing to build the habits that I've been building up. One of these is like going on the 4-mile hike that I go on every morning. Also making sure that I'm like working out and stuff like that, and obviously continuing to apply for jobs and everything. But I think one thing I'm going to start adding into my routine and kind of like as kind of like a self-improvement thing. I really like the whole like self-improvement connotation or whatever. I mean, and on the surface it's fine, but a lot of it's like it turns into like red pill bro content stuff, which I'm not really a huge fan of, is trying to not consume like doomer content. And that is like everywhere on the internet, I've noticed, especially since I've been doing YouTube and I've kind of been spending more time, I guess, like on the internet, looking for jobs, doing my kind of like side hustle stuff for the blog and the SEO stuff that I do. Also just kind of editing this YouTube channel and just trying to like, get ideas, see what other creators are doing, try to make this a little better, I guess. I mean, what I do is pretty, raw and uncut. So it's like, how good are you actually going to make this? However, like in 2026, I'm going to stop consuming, or like not entirely, I'm going to try to stop consuming, like doomer, like just black pill content, just stuff that like very negative, very, everything sucks, everyone sucks, I hate this, that kind of content. I feel like it's just not very like conducive to anything. And it's definitely been a problem I've had, is like I've kind of been dwelling on the negative for the past, few years. Like a big thing of me was I used to like come back from my job and I used to be so like pent up over like having to be, like fake corporate nice while getting also like demeaned and yelled at and things like that at work. So I get like all pent up and I'd be like, oh, my life sucks, everything sucks, I hate this, and I'd be like super negative. And I've probably driven a few people away with that kind of like mentality. Maybe not like explicitly, but definitely like, implicitly. Like there's probably a few chicks that I fumbled because I've been, very, maybe a little too negative and sometimes, very, I don't know how to describe it, but just depressive, that kind of like depressive mode where it's like you're just all like bummed out and stuff and you're like, oh, I hate everything, and then like you're like, why does no one like me? Kind of thing. I've definitely periods in my life where I've been like, super happy and definitely not been in that state. But I feel like over the past few years, I've been in that kind of negative state more often than not. And I think a lot of it definitely comes back to the kind of like content I consume on the internet. The problem with doomer content, I think, is like, it is so like, it's visceral. It's maybe not explicitly designed to do this, but I feel like it's almost designed to like keep you in a place where you feel like you're like helpless, like, learned helplessness and all that, where you're like, oh man, like, oh, life sucks, I can't do anything, everything sucks, whatever, so I'm just not going to do anything. I'm going to come home from my job, I'm going to be negative, I'm going to stay in that relationship that I don't want to be in, because if I move on from that relationship and try to find somebody that I'm more compatible with, or I like to spend time with, or something like that, then basically I'm going to start over and it's going to be impossible, that kind of thing, or I can't quit this job, because if I quit this job or try to do something else in my life that I actually want to do, it's just going to end up bad, or something like that, right? And another thing too is that kind of content, like even if you are like a total like, I don't want to use this word, but I'm going to use it anyways. If you are like a total loser and you're aware of it, like just be aware of it and then just like move on. That's the thing. Like if you're in a bad spot, the worst thing I think you can do is just keep dwelling on it and just keep watching stuff that's going to keep reinforcing, that your situation's hopeless, or that everything sucks, or, heaven forbid, like you think like life isn't worth living or something like that, like. And if you do think like that, like I'd encourage you to reach out to, loved ones or friends or something, or even a random person on the street. Another thing that I guess like kind of gotten this like lightness about me since I got laid off from my corporate job about a week ago, is I find like talking to people like way easier than I used to find it. Like I struck up a conversation with a woman today, just like I was mailing off tax returns. I do tax returns for people that I know. It's another little side thing that I do. It's not really that big of a deal, but I had to mail one of them off physically. In this instance, and I had to go to the post office, and I just talked to this cute girl who was just chilling, dropping off something for one of her friends or something like that. Anyways, like I wouldn't really had that experience or conversation. It's probably not going to lead anywhere. I got her number anyways. I don't know why, other than the fact that it was just kind of the most logical conclusion after we were talking. But it's like, I wouldn't have really had that experience if I wasn't like ready to like, just be like a normal human being, I guess. I don't know. If I wasn't ready to just like stop being so negative all the time. And I feel like a blessing about getting fired the way that I did was I basically got just dragged into a room and said, hey, you need to just get out of here. You need to be fired, like leave, right? and here's a severance since, we didn't really think you did anything wrong. Because it was more like a layoff, and it wasn't more like a firing. It was just like, hey, we need you to leave. We don't need your position anymore. Thank you for your service. Here's your severance check, get out of here. Bye, whatever. It allowed me to kind of like get some space and get some clarity into like basically like what I wanted to do in my life. It allowed me to sleep a full 8 hours a night, which is good. I'm not complaining about like, the job not letting me sleep or anything like that, but I'm the type of person that gets like way too anxious, and you may probably hear my voice, I don't really know, about how to I get like way too anxious on like most things. I just like wig myself out for no reason, and I just like completely get like way too heady about like most things. So it's kind of allowed me to kind of like calm down, like think, breathe, enough space to kind of like, process when people are talking to me, because I was always in like that fight or flight mode from work, just from like work stress and just kind of like keeping up with stuff and not really doing what they wanted, or really just like not having enough time to do the things they wanted to do. And, I explained that, but you know how that goes. They don't really care. They want XYZ done in XYZ way. And if there's no time to do it, then, well, just work later, which kind of led me to like not have a good sleep. But the point is, I guess, is that I'm just going to try to be more positive going forward in my life. And one of those things is definitely just getting rid of like doomer content on the internet that is only really designed to really drive engagement by getting you to click on stuff. Anyways, I know I was super kind of all over the place there, but that is, it's day 6, kind of what I'm thinking about right now. And the only way through is forward, I guess. If you want to drop a comment, a like, that'd be cool. Subscribe if you want. If you don't, that's also fine. And later.